This is a topic that everybody can relate to. When I got the title, it had the word overcoming in it. And the skill and the talent and the art of being able to overcome is something essential that everyone needs. And the reason for that is, as all of you in this room know, this life is not perfect. See, Jannah is perfect, but dunya is not created to be perfect. What that means is that there is nothing that is entirely good or entirely, eternally good in this life. But at the same time, and this is a very important principle as well, this life is also not entirely bad either. Why I'm emphasizing that is it is a key component of being able to overcome. The reason why sometimes we fall into despair, the reason why sometimes we fall into despair is because of the way we view things, because of the way we see the same reality. Two people can be looking at the exact same reality and see two very different things. It's that age-old cliche that you can take a glass and it can be you can fill it halfway with water, and you can ask one person and one person will say that it is half empty, while another will say it is half full. But you see, the way in which we see our reality is extremely important in terms of how we respond to that reality. And that's why I want to emphasize this very important principle, which is that although this life is not perfectly good, it isn't perfectly bad either. No matter how hard someone's life is, no matter how much they lose, no matter how much they struggle, they also have some ease in their life. They also have goodness in their life. No one, no matter how hard they have it, live with only hardship and no ease. It's just the design of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us both. And not only does He give us both, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna ma'al usri yusra. And what that means is that along with the difficulty, and difficulty in this ayah is singular, along with the singular difficulty is plural, many eases, yusra. And this idea is very important because often people believe that things are either going to be all good or they're going to be all bad. And when they go through difficulty, they have trouble finding the light within the darkness. And so I want to begin by speaking about the fact that there is always light, even within the darkness. Just now we're in a rather dark room. The lights are very, very low, the ceiling lights. But there's also a lot of light as well. And so a person can choose what they focus on. And I cannot emphasize enough that who you are and what surrounds you has everything to do with what you choose to focus on. And this is something that has been shown again and again in studies, that it is our focus that determines our world, essentially, our reality. And I'm going to explain what I mean. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He teaches us a very, very fundamental principle. He says, وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. That if you are thankful, if you are grateful, I will increase you. And what's so powerful about this is that what Allah is showing us is that if you and I choose to focus on what we have, rather than focusing on what we don't have, what we have will increase. And when I say what we have will increase, not only will we be given more of these good blessings, but psychologically those blessings grow in our minds. In our minds we feel full. We feel contented when we choose to focus on the things that we have. When we choose to focus on the light, when we choose to focus on positivity, it actually grows within us and we become filled with it. But see, there's another dangerous tendency that we have. We have this tendency as human beings, and we have this tendency as a community. And that is that we like to complain. We like to complain about how bad it is. We like to complain about the things that are going wrong. Now, one thing I warn you against is this. I I believe very, very strongly that we have taken two extremes in how we deal with difficulty. We've taken two extremes in how we deal with pain and hardship. And when something wounds us or something harms us or hurts us, we've taken two extremes. One extreme is the extreme of suppression. We have a lot of cultures especially which teach suppression. Suppression of emotion, suppression of pain. If you go through something difficult, just put your happy face on and pretend it didn't happen. That if you have a wound, whether it's from your childhood or from your past, that the way to deal with it is to just suppress it and to cover it up, and definitely don't let the world know that you're imperfect. And that's actually a very, very, very dangerous trend. Because what that's like is like a person who gets shot. And what they do with their gunshot wound is they cover it with a Band-Aid. When you cover a gunshot wound with a Band-Aid, what happens to it? Well, you might say time heals all wounds. But what's going to happen to your gunshot wound? It's going to actually become worse. It's going to get infected. And pretending that it's not there doesn't make it go away. And it doesn't heal it. And time will not heal that wound because it was not cleaned. It was not actually treated, and therefore time is not going to heal a wound that's never treated or addressed. You have to address the wound, and then you can talk about healing. So there's this extreme of just suppression, pretend you're perfect, pretend everything is perfect, put your mask on, and there's a very, very strong push in our culture to be perfect. Have perfect skin. That's why we have so many filters, alhamdulillah. Have a perfect body, that's why we have Photoshop, alhamdulillah. Have a perfect life, perfect children, perfect spouse. Everything has to be perfect. And if it isn't perfect, put a filter, both physically and metaphorically, to make it look perfect. Right? And we have this all over our social media. People photoshopping their lives to make it look what it is not. Because there's so much pressure to be perfect. Nobody wants to see your flaws. Nobody wants to see that. No one wants to know that you have wrinkles or stretch marks. No one wants to know that you don't have perfect skin or you don't have a perfect life or a perfect figure. And there's so much pressure, and this is actually causing a lot of a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety. All this pressure to compete and to be perfect. It's very, very dangerous, in fact. And spiritually it's very dangerous because it turns us into fake people. And when we become fake people, a fake person cannot connect to their Creator. If you're fake, you can't connect to Allah. You have to be real to be able to connect to your Creator. You can't put a mask on and think you're going to connect to the one who made you. So actually it's very dangerous, both socially but also spiritually. It's very dangerous to put on this mask and become fake. But see, we have another extreme on the other end in dealing with wounds and in dealing with pain and struggle and hardship. And that is what I'll call coddling your wounds. This is like a person who has a wound, and alhamdulillah they have dealt with it, and alhamdulillah it has healed, but they keep picking the scab. Now, what is this like? This is a person who becomes stuck in their past. A person who cannot let go of what has happened from the past, or cannot let go. For example, if someone has hurt them, they never let it go. They will never forgive. They'll keep replaying it in their mind. They'll hold grudges to the grave. And that is equally dangerous, because that also does not allow you to heal. It's just like the wound that you keep on picking. It's healed, but you keep picking it. And you're actually making it, you're stunting that process, you're making that process have to start over again, because you're not allowing yourself to heal. When you hold on to grudges, you're actually harming yourself. I heard once someone say that holding a grudge is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. You understand? You hurt yourself when you hold a grudge. You're not hurting the other person because you yourself are the one staying wounded. You're choosing to stay wounded. You're choosing not to heal. And that's a choice that you have made for yourself by holding on to anger, by holding on to what people have done to you or what has happened to you, and then you replay it in your mind. and realize that this is a tool of shaitan. One of his favorite tools is to remind you and actually replay like a broken record anything and everything that ever hurt you from your life. And the reason why he does this is he knows that if you get stuck in your past, you won't be able to move to your future. You just get stuck. And when you get stuck in pain, you can't move on. It's like a person who's driving, and we have a couple, mirrors in the car, right? When you're driving. You have the front where you're looking forward, but then you have the rear view mirror. And the rear view mirror has a very specific function. The rear view mirror is supposed to be something that you look at to give you an idea of what's behind you. But it's not intended. Let me ask you this. If when you're driving, you stay too long looking at the rear view mirror, you understand? So instead of looking forward, you just get fixated on the mirror, the rear view mirror. You get fixated on what's behind you. What's going to happen? You crash. Why do you crash? You crash because you're not looking forward. But the mirror's there, but the mirror is not intended for you to be fixated on. The rear view mirror is only supposed to be for your reference, for you to reference what's behind you and then move forward and look back forward, because forward is where you're moving. But people do this in their lives. They get stuck on the rear view mirror. They get stuck on their past. They get so stuck in whatever has passed them, whatever is behind them, that they crash because they're not looking forward and they're not actually able to move forward. So this is a very, very well practiced tool of the shaitan, is to make you stuck on what is behind you. And there's many ways in which he does this. Many ways. One is by keeping you angry at whatever happened. Keeping you holding a grudge. Keeping you holding on to that anger. Someone hurt me. So-and-so did this to my family. This person didn't, whatever it was that they did to you. Sometimes he might try to keep you angry at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A'udhu billah. Oh, look what Allah did to you. Right? This is the worst kind. Look what Allah did to you. Look what Allah took from you. You didn't deserve that. That wasn't fair. This is the type of poisonous waswasa that he will put. And when you start to when you start to allow that, and it grows within you, it's like poison. So it will replay these things in order to keep you internally very negative. And when you're internally negative, it's like poison going through your veins. You won't be able to move forward. So what's the solution? I've talked about two extremes. I've talked about the first, which is the suppression, the fake attitude, right? The I'm perfect, let me put a band-aid on all my problems and not actually deal with them. As we said, that's not going to solve anything. You can't put a band-aid on a gunshot wound and expect it to heal. It's in fact going to get infected, and you're going to end up having to amputate or even die from the infection. The other extreme were those who just stay stuck, who coddle the wounds, who take off the scab, who get fixated on the rear view mirror. And that also is going to make you crash. So then what's the solution? How can we deal with hardship? How can we be genuine and authentic and not fake, but at the same time not get stuck in that quicksand, right? In that mud that doesn't allow us to move forward. And I believe that the answer is this. The answer is that we need to be honest about our reality. We need to be real about our reality. For example, when you walk outside and it's nighttime. It's night. Is it dark at night? Yes. Thank you. No one's saying, no, it's not dark. It's actually really light. Because that's called denial, right? So if you walk outside and it's dark, it's night. It would be denial to say, actually, the sun is up right just now. So you can step outside when it's night and say, yes, it's dark right now. Yes, I'm in pain right now. Yes, things are hard right now. Yes, Trump is going to be taking office right now. That's true. However, the dangerous thing is allowing that darkness to consume you.